Okay, guys, so got a couple of subscribers and never thought that would happen. But what I want to do is I want to show the progress of my 1985 F-150. So I've done a couple of videos when I first started, and I didn't think anybody would be really interested, but you know, got a couple of guys who subscribed, and I guess they want to see a couple things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the cover off the engine here, and so basically I feel like I'm about 80% done. The chassis, the frame has been basically I wire wheeled the entire frame with just a wire wheel, and I just finished that maybe a couple weeks ago, and I've got the motor covered. Actually, the whole thing was covered because I was painting in the shop, and I'm going to show you the finished product, the paint, the panels, and everything here in a minute. But man, I think the last time I had a video, the cab and everything was still on it. You know, so I pulled the cab. There's a mounting bolt here for the cab. You can see how it's a little bit rusted right there, but I'm not really worried about that. It doesn't seem, you know, to be, you know, too bad. Same way on the other side, not bad at all. I know you can buy these, and basically you can buy these and you know, install them. And I could have done that because I had to pop the rivets off of here anyway and then bolt it up. And the reason why I did that is because I had the frame was cracked a little bit. There was spider webbed a little bit. So we welded it up, and I think really it's because of this this arm bracket here, radius arm bracket. I think it's a lot of stress. Maybe the previous owner was doing some really heavy, you know, off-road stuff, and you know, there's some stress cracks, some spider webbing going on here. So we were able to weld another plate on the other side of that and get that, you know, toughened up a little bit. So let me show you the other side. Maybe you can see the plate. You can see where we welded this plate on, and you can see it. I think that's just run paint that's run. But you know, we welded a plate on the other side and welded up the cracks. And I feel like, you know, we beefed it up quite a bit. Both sides, exact same way. But these mounting brackets were actually riveted. These big old tough rivets, and I grinded them all off. And I've got some put some new bolts on. So, and you know, they're number 8 bolts. So they should be hard enough to you know, do what we need to do with the mounting brackets. So so what I did was I found a guy who had a 351 out of a Mustang, and he was selling you know, long block, and I bought it. And I took it to a machine shop, and I had it rebuilt. And I'm glad I did, because there's a few things with it that needed to be done. But basically, I went ahead and got a new 351. Had the machine shop bore it 60 over and some other stuff, and new heads, all that good stuff, and make sure that it was ready to go. The performer intake came with it. I painted it. So basically, I just painted it the Ford blue, and then I took some sandpaper and a sanding pad, and I basically just sanded it until I sanded all the paint off of, you know, where it says where the lettering is. And it turned out pretty good. I also purchased a different housing here, a water pump housing, I guess that's what it is. One that came out of or would go into I guess a Mustang, because the dipstick has been moved to the front of the truck. I kind of like that because now I can check the oil without having to reach over here and reach down in over the fender. I can just, you know, reach up across the front of the truck and grab it and look at it. I also have a serpentine, you know, pulley system on it. Basically, this is kind of monster-fied. I had originally purchased a bunch of pulleys separately, and those kind of didn't work out. And so there's a company in Florida that sent me the brackets to finish it up, and also this pulley right here. This is the one that I was having a hard time, finding the right one for. You can purchase these separately on Amazon and on eBay, and I did. I was purchasing these things separately and ended up costing more by doing that. I should have just went ahead and bought the kit and been done with it, and it would have been a lot easier. The air conditioning bracket was definitely a pain in the butt. I've got an extra air conditioning bracket that I was using. Didn't seem to work as well. Let's see. On the engine, we got the headers, and these are not going to be the headers that I'm going to be using. I think that there's going to be some interference here with the starter. I'm not real sure. I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking that, I can get this pipe down through here. I'm thinking that, that can work like that, but I don't know. When I take it to the muffler shop, I've got another set of headers that go straight down a little bit more. I'm not sure which ones I'm going to use. It'll just be up to the guy who's, I guess, putting the exhaust on. I had the transmission rebuilt at the transmission shop. That cost me, I think $800. Put a shift kit in it and freshened it up. This was a running transmission when I drove it from Louisiana or Arkansas to here in Fort Worth. So I really didn't have any problems with it. So it rebuilt it, freshened it up, put a shift kit in it. The transfer case is another story. I purchased this online on eBay, rebuilt, and ready to go. My other one, the original one that was on here was a slip yoke, and so I've got now I've got a fixed yoke, yes, I'm going to have to shorten the drive shaft, but that's okay. There's a machine shop I know that'll do that. Anyway, I also found a transfer case skid plate on an old Bronco. Let me see if I can. So yeah, I found that on an old Bronco out in the junkyard, and I swiped it as fast as I could because these things are kind of hard to find, and this was in pretty good shape. And it just the holes were already there on my frame to just mount it right up. So 4 bolts hold it up, and it was good to go. If I'm missing something, guys, that you want to see, let me know, and I'll take a video of it. I'll do a video on it and show you what I did, and try to tell you where I got it. If there's anything that you want me to talk about, put it in the comments and let me know. I'll go right back to it, and we'll do a video just on that. So I only have a couple of subscribers, so if you guys want to see something, let me know. I'll spend some time on it. Right now, I'm just doing kind of an overview because I've done a lot of work to this since my last video. And you can see the bumper here, that this is an original bumper. It's the original bumper that came off the pickup. I saw one on eBay for about $700. It was it's OEM, new old stock. And man, I took this bumper down to the chrome shop and had it chrome for about $575. And it looks fantastic. They did a fantastic job on the bumper. Of course, I took these little bumper stops off, and also I had to remove the center section here, and then they took it from there and did a fantastic job. What a great job. So moving around, yes, I got 2 new fuel tanks. I also got 2 new fuel sending units. If you guys want me to talk about those, I can spend some time in the video. That was a little project there, finding the right ones and making them work. I've touched every bolt on this truck so far. I've got new lifted springs. The truck had 3-inch blocks on top of this factory block. And I just felt like, I could get some lifted springs and get a little better ride quality out of the truck. So I put the new lifted springs on and got rid of the 3.5-inch blocks that were sitting on top of the OEM block there. And so, you know, I'm hoping that I'm going to get a better ride. I think I lost about 1/4 of an inch in ride height in the back. I don't think that's going to matter. I really don't. I think, you know, we'll see. We'll see if it matters. If, you know, I'm hoping that the ass end doesn't sit down on the truck. But anyway, I'm just going to do a pan out and do a little bit of an overview of what I've got done. If you guys see anything you want to talk to me about, let me know. There is one, the project that I'm working on right now so that I can set the cab on is this booger right here. The fuel transfer switch, fuel tank selector valve. That's not the right one. It requires that a switch that reverses polarity. And I don't want that. That I had to do a bunch of fancy wiring, and I just want a switch that will operate like the old one, where when it's de-energized, it's pulling fuel from the rear tank, and when I energize it, it's pulling fuel from the front tank. That's what I want. So I'm getting rid of that. I'm going to go with the original OEM style selector valve. The problem is I'm going to be using I'm going to be installing EFI from Phytech, and I really want a return line. So this valve provided me with the return line. There's the fuel line coming from the tank, and this is the line returning fuel back to that same tank. So whenever I switch the valve, whatever, you know, it would pull from this tank and also return to the same tank. Pull from that tank, return to that tank down there. That's why I wanted this, you know, this valve. And so unfortunately, I'm gonna have to figure something else out, because I really don't want to do a bunch of fancy wiring and go away from the factory selector switch on the dash. So what I think I'm gonna do with that is I'm going to use 2 of the OEM style selector valves side by side. One of them will be specifically for the fuel, and the other one will be specifically for the return, and they'll just both be energized at the same time. I'm thinking that's kind of what I'm going to do. I've got some fuel hose here for the for the vent on top of the fuel tanks. I haven't figured out where I'm going to route this yet. So, you know, I just got a few things I need to iron out before I set the cab on the body. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this video, but if you guys want to look at something, you guys want me to talk about something, anything that I've done, where I've got the parts, how I did something, I want to show you also, I've got new shocks, but I want to show you also the front end. I've got dual steering stabilizers. That's something that I had to do a little bit custom, especially I had to weld this bracket up. And also the steering, all the suspension parts have been changed. I got a aftermarket steering system on this thing that bolts right up to my suspension kit. So if you want me to talk about that, I will. Well, I've got some pictures and things like that. Lots of stuff. The rear end, 4.9-inch rear end, was rebuilt. It has 355 gears, limited slip, front and back. New bushings all the way around. New locking hubs. New brakes. The drums were a bitch. You know, I've only done drum brakes a couple of times. You know, trial and error, I got those going. New brake lines. New brake proportioning valve. It's definitely not the same as the factory, but, you know, we'll see. I kept the factory proportioning valve just in case. But also I've got a steering shaft so that I can eliminate the rag joint on the other steering shaft, and the boot was busted on the old steering shaft, intermediate shaft, and I could not find, no matter how many of those cheap little things I bought, none of them would fit. None of the boots would fit, and you know, you can't grease that joint and keep it, you know, clean. So I decided just to go with the steering shaft, a new intermediate shaft. So guys, my next video is going to be on the paint, because right behind me is the cab with the paint on it, and all the body panels. So I'm going to do a video on those. Probably shoot it tomorrow or next week. I want to, try to answer as many of your questions about this, and what you guys are thinking about that. I will give you a sneak peek at what color the truck is. That is G2. That's the paint code. It's G2 Ford. It's red fire metallic, or red fire pearl. So right now I'm just using some Rattle Can G2 spray on the hinges and all the little stuff. On the tailgate supports, I went ahead and Rattle Can G2 on there with some Rattle Can clear. And they're just hinges and supports. So it doesn't have to be immaculate. And neither is the truck. The truck's not going to be immaculate. The paint job you see on it, it's not going to be immaculate. It's a 5-footer. It looks fantastic from 5 feet, and you would still have to be pretty meticulous, pretty detail oriented to even see any issues with the truck, the paint on the truck. So the paint job I'm really happy with. I paid an old guy, $1,600 come over and paint it for me, and I felt like he did a really good job. So anyway, there's my truck. Where it is, I shined up the wheels. If you want me to, talk about how I did those and some pictures of those before and after, I can send those to you. But there she is. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it.